in the last stream. We began here in the nothingness dimension with one task, and that task was to create Earth. And we managed it. We managed to build Earth ourselves, and now if we teleport through to Earth, we have a little bit of a base coming together around here. But the one problem that we kept running into in the last episode is that right now there are seemingly no sheep anywhere. I've not found any sheep so far. And right now, when night falls, we have very little protection against creepers and zombies and skeletons and witches and whatever nastiness decides to spawn, and especially with it being a super flat world, spawn they do, and they spawn quite quick, and we can get overrun pretty fast. And so I think the very first thing that I'm going to do in today's episode is a quick little bit of tree farming, and I think what we'll do is just put a fenced perimeter around our base here and make sure that everything inside of that perimeter is well lit with torches, which we can of course make from the charcoal that we're going to get from the logs when cutting down all of the trees, and hopefully that's going to give us a nice safe space within which we should be able to hopefully finish the alpha stage of the pack here. I think we have a little bit more Britannia left to work through, and once we've done that, we will then unlock, I believe, the next stage of the quest book, which I think is going to start us out with a little bit of pneumatic craft. But before we get into any of that, oh, interesting, that log just broke there. It didn't, oh, they're all just breaking. I wonder if that's because there's no tree. Did I put those logs down manually? I'm actually not too sure. But either way, I'm going to go ahead and get a bunch of wood, make a bunch of fences, and a bunch of torches. Now, I completely forgot about the fact that we do have to sleep, otherwise phantoms are going to come for us. I don't know if I can disable gravity for the phantoms, because I don't know if they respect or adhere to gravity. But real quick, I'm going to try and avoid these phantoms, and I am just going to head back into the void nothingness, again on 1 HP. We can, however, go ahead and light our campfire to regenerate a little bit of HP here. We really, in that case then, do need to find some sheep so we can try and get some wool. I imagine if we wanted to, we could try and get a lot of string, because I am assuming that we can craft, 4 string into 1 white wool, and then of course we could use that to get a bed as well. But is there a better way of crafting wool? We can do it with chemistry once we have a combiner, but I don't think we have what it takes to make a combiner just yet. Yeah, it's not showing up in JEI. I think it's locked behind a later game stage. And so I think once the night has disappeared, we might have to go and do a little bit of searching to see if we just can't find some sheep. So I completely forgot that you can, in fact, transmute different blocks in the world using the Philosopher's Stone. For example, over here we have some dirt. If you right-click on that dirt with the Philosopher's Stone, you can turn it into sand, and then you can right-click that again to turn it into grass, and then it'll just cycle between grass and sand. The same is also true with cobblestone. You can turn cobblestone into regular stone, like so. Of course, if you don't have Silk Touch, you're still going to break it into cobblestone. But one really nifty feature here is that we can put down saplings and then transmute those between all of the different kinds of saplings. And so what I think I might do here is potentially pivot over and see about getting some dark oak fences, just because I think they might look a little nicer than the regular oak fences. And if you're wondering, you can press U while hovering over the Philosopher's Stone, and it will show you all of the different in-world transmutations that you can do. Turning water into ice is a very interesting one that might come in useful in the future. Turning lava into obsidian, melons into pumpkins. There's all kinds of transmutation that can be done. Okay, so I've done a bit of exploration to try and find a sheep, and there are surprisingly few mobs around here. But I'm being told that if we press R here and fire a projectile, it totally works. Okay, so you do need to have a fair amount of charcoal in your inventory, because the charcoal acts as EMC that you can use. Unfortunately, goat's not shearable, but if we get more charcoal here, we should be able to keep transmuting. It did cost us, I think, like 8 charcoal there, which is quite pricey. Okay, so I had very little luck transmuting animals. However, I did have luck just waiting for night to fall and getting enough string from the spiders to make the wool for our beds. So if I am not mistaken, yes, we do already have one string that we got from killing a previous spider, and finally we have what it takes to make a regular old Minecraft bed here. And so after all that, we should be able to sleep. I don't know if we can sleep in the void dimension. We can't. We are going to have to sleep in the overworld, which might be tricky given how many mobs are currently around, especially given, yeah, how many phantoms we have after us as well. All right, so a little bit of time later, we got our bed down, we've managed to sleep, we've set our spawn point, so now we have no more phantoms. I've built a dark oak enclosed fenced area around our base, and I have put down quite a few torches around the perimeter of the base to hopefully stop mobs spawning in the immediate area. Obviously, if something like a skeleton spawns a little further away but wanders over, it is still going to be able to shoot us, which is not ideal, but we can always deal with those as and when they come, and going forward, we could always put even more torches even further out to kind of mitigate that just a little bit more. Now, one problem that we are running into quite regularly here is the problem of food. I did plant some wheat seeds here. They're not growing particularly fast. However, the quest book did say that sleeping can be used kind of like a time in a bottle to accelerate time. Now, I've been told that the effect is worldwide, so it's not related to how close you are to the bed. But if I sleep here, you'll see in the top left that there is an acceleration effect. So I'm going to sleep all the way through the night, and I'm just trying to see if this actually works on the wheat. If we wake up and the wheat is fully grown, then I might just set up a fairly big area for us to grow a large amount of wheat, sleep, harvest all of that, and then we should hopefully just have a large amount of bread that we can use going forward. But let us see as the day breaks here. No, unfortunately that didn't work. Time did get accelerated. It is a new day, and it's interesting that you can sleep at any point of the day as well, but unfortunately the crops are still at the same level they were previously. And so my next theory is botany pots. We do have botany pots in the pack, these guys right here, and these can be used to grow individual crops a little faster, and if you get the hopping botany pot in a little bit more of an automated way than just regular crafting. And so I'm fairly certain that we do have clay in here. We do indeed. Unfortunately, I don't think we can do this simply due to the fact that, oh, never mind, the pack creator has thought of this. Thank you, Cryptic. We can use the pure daisy to turn clay into terracotta. I was gonna say that we can't smelt the clay blocks into terracotta, but we totally can. So we can do 1, 2, 3 on here. That should get us 3 clay bricks, and then we can take, I think it's 5 blocks of clay, and if we put that around our pure daisy over here, they should transform into blocks of terracotta that we can then use, of course, to make the botany pot. And my theory here, by the way, is that the botany pot might be acceleratable even if regular crops in the world aren't acceleratable. So there's our terracotta. Let's grab all of that. Unfortunately, we still don't have access to iron, and so we aren't going to be able to make the hopping botany pot just yet, but the regular botany pot might not be a terrible idea for us here. So let's put this down. Let's put a little bit of dirt into that botany pot, and then let's put in a wheat seed, and then that is going to slowly but surely grow wheat for us. But now if we sleep again, does that have an accelerating effect on the botany pot? It looks like it totally does. That wheat grew quite quickly. I don't actually know if we can hopper out of this, chat. I will try making a wooden hopper if we have the ability to do so, which we totally do, and then we could potentially hopper out of it. Let's give that a try. If we go and get some of our wood, which I think, again, is over here. I do want to move all of this to be in the same location, by the way. Right now, we're going back and forth quite a bit, trying to get all of our different resources, which is a little bit wasteful. But if we head back, and I'm going to temporarily take this chest back because I don't really think that we need it, we can use that to make a wooden hopper, like so. And then what I'll do is I'll just put the wooden hopper like this, and I'll move the botany pot on top of the wooden hopper, and we'll see if that works. Oh, never mind. It turns out, the chat is right here, I can make a brick hopper and then use that to upgrade our regular botany pot to a hopping botany pot. That changes everything. So I just need 5 brick, which of course we can get from our campfire here. like that. I will sleep just to skip the night more than anything, so we don't have to worry about skeletons spawning. Of course, if we do skip the night quite regularly, we don't have to worry about them spawning at all. But let's see, are these done? They are indeed. Fantastic. And then if we take this, we should be able to upgrade our wooden hopper to a brick hopper, and then once we have the hopping botany pot, that will just automatically eject all of its wares down into the chest beneath it. So we'll do this, we'll get a hopping botany pot, we'll place that here, we'll then drop in some dirt, like so, drop in a seed. I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, you can till the dirt in the botany pot to make it just that little bit faster. And so if I have my hoe, which I used earlier to plant the wheat seeds, we should then be able to right-click, I believe, into the botany pot. You'll see right now at the top it says dirt. If we right-click now, it is farmland, which is a tiny bit faster. Then we can put in the wheat seed, and now if we sleep, hopefully, that's just going to deposit a fairly large amount of wheat into this chest. And by fairly large amount, I mean a larger amount than we're currently making, which is really not saying much, but is not nothing. And there we go, we got 7 wheat. It's not ideal, but it does mean that going forward, if we don't have enough food, we should just be able to sleep. And of course, while we work on doing other things around the base, this hopping botany pot is just going to keep growing wheat and depositing it into this chest for us. Speaking of which, one of the quests further up here was to get a regular Minecraft storage drawer. And I do think that now is probably the perfect time to actually get a storage drawer, because the storage drawer is going to allow us to hold a large amount of wheat without it taking up every single last slot in our chest. Chat is pointing out that I am a little blind, and I could have just checked the quest book, because the quest book does actually walk us through the creation of this hopping botany pot. That is my bad, but we have all of our coins. I do need to remember to actually put these coins into my coin purse, because right now I just have a bunch of coins hanging around in a bunch of different drawers. But now that we have some wood, we should be able to make another regular Minecraft chest, and then if you craft that with 6 planks like so, you get a standard storage drawer that can hold up to 32 stacks of any one given item. And so what we can do here is we can take this botany pot, place it down directly on top of the storage drawer, place in the farmland and the wheat seed, and now all of the wheat that we grow is going to be deposited in this drawer. Although I have just made that, but I think that, if I'm not mistaken, the wheat seeds here produce both wheat and seeds, and so it's actually going to be in our best interest to produce a storage drawer that can hold 2 different items. So there are 3 different types of storage drawer. There is the regular 1x1 drawer that can hold 1 item. There is the 2x1 drawers, or the 1x2 drawers, that can hold 2 items and 16 stacks of each. And then there are the 2x2 drawers that can hold 8 stacks of 4 different items. They all hold the same amount of items in total. They just hold different quantities of those items. And so for the 1x2 drawer, I need 2 Minecraft chests, and then we just craft that with 7 logs. And although it's not showing there due to a visual glitch, we do actually get 2 of these 1x2 drawers. And so if we place that down, we should slowly but surely start to see this drawer fill up with both wheat and wheat seeds. Now that's taken care of, let me quickly go and bring all of my other chests back through to the overworld. All right, and just like that, we have cleared out the void dimension of almost all of the blocks and chests that we had in there. All of our chests are back through here in the overworld now. There are a few rogue blocks left in the nothingness dimension. We can always head back there if we need more elements. But now that we've taken care of all of that, we can, of course, get rid of these wheat seeds here, and we can focus back in on trying to complete this alpha quest line. So the next quest along here wants us to make the Altar of Forgotten Runes, also known as the Runic Altar. The Runic Altar is fairly easy to make. It is 5 living rock with 1 mana powder. I've put all of my elements in this bottom chest, and then the other chests here are a little haphazardly full for the time being, but as we saw last time, we can place regular old cobblestone down around the Pure Daisy. That's going to transform into regular stone, then into smooth stone, and then finally into more living rock. I did accidentally pick up the Ender Flame earlier. Here it is, so I do need to put that back down over by our mana spreader. And we could also do with re-grabbing our Wand of the Forest, and we might as well also take these blacker lotuses here to allow us to add a little bit of mana to that mana pool if we ever run a little low. But over here, we should now be able to craft 5 living rock with 1 mana powder to get the runic altar. And now the quest opens up to 5 different runes that we need to craft. The earth rune, the mana rune, the fire rune, the water rune, and the air rune. It's water at the top there, not earth, but fire, mana, earth, water, and air. So can I go ahead and bookmark basically all of those? I will get rid of these. I don't think we need those crafting recipes saved. And then if we go and type in rune, we need water, fire, earth, air, and mana. So these have had their recipes tweaked, thankfully. Each one of them does require a mana powder, which we can of course get with the cosmic dust, which we can get fairly easily from a star. They also require a mana bottle for the rune of mana. That also seems fairly straightforward. We can put glass into a mana pool, and glass, can we smelt that on a campfire? We totally can, and as we saw earlier, we can get sand by just transmuting regular dirt. And then the only other thing needed here are blocks of petal, and I think that's kind of true throughout this craft. They all require different blocks of different petal, which you can get by just crafting 9 of that color petal together. And then all of these don't really seem to require too much in the way of difficult resources. The earth rune, for example, just a cobble deep slate, which we can mine, and a regular cobblestone. We need an oxygen and a sugar. I do think I saw some sugarcane fairly nearby, 1 gunpowder and 1 brick. None of that seems particularly difficult. We might have to kill a creeper to try and get 1 gunpowder, assuming that gunpowder doesn't have a recipe. It does, but we don't have access to the alchemy catalyst yet. This needs blaze rods, which we definitely do not have. And so I think the only thing that we're going to struggle with is the gunpowder. And even that's not going to be too difficult. So what I might do is I might head out here real quick and see if we can't get 1 gunpowder. After that, we can sleep until it's daytime, and then we can probably head out in the morning and see if we can't find some of each of the different type of petal. Thankfully, now that we have shears, Botania does also add a way of easily duplicating any petal that you already have 1 of, and I'll show that in just a second once we actually have the petals we want to duplicate, and hopefully once we have a single gunpowder. The tricky bit here is trying to get that gunpowder before the creeper explodes, which is harder to do when we've got just a stone sword. But never mind, there we go, fantastic. You love to see it. So let's sleep, and let's go see if we can't find all of the different petals that we're going to need for all of the different runes. Actually, it might be easier and potentially quicker if we use some floral fertilizer here. So we do already have mystical white flowers and mystical green flowers, and I believe what we should be able to do, if we take, for example, a mystical green petal here, is we should be able to plant that and then bone meal it, and that gets you a 2 tall high flower. And I'm being told in newer versions of Botania, you don't have to shear this. It used to be the case that you had to use shears to break this, but now you can just break this, and you get this tall mystical green flower that you can then craft into 4 more petals. And so just there with 1 bone meal, we effectively turned 1 petal into 4 petals. And of course we can do that as many times as we need. Once we have at least 4 petals, you can craft that with a bone meal in a recipe that has apparently been tweaked. So now it requires, dyes. Okay, that's fine. You can, I believe, just craft a petal into a dye. You totally can. And then if you craft 4 dye with 1 bone meal, you get a floral fertilizer. And then if you right-click that, you get some random mystical flowers. I think between like 3 and 5, maybe, mystical flowers, although don't quote me on that. And I think this is going to be an easier way of us trying to get all of the different colors here. For example, we now have pink, which is not one that we need. We need magenta. We do have light blue, which is one of the ones we need. We can take that off of our bookmark list. We also have orange as well, which we can take off our bookmark list. And of course, each one of these will get us 2 petals, which we can then use bone meal to turn into 9 petals via that planting and bone mealing technique that we just showed. And so I think what we'll do is we'll kind of keep going with this. We'll make some more floral fertilizer here. We'll see what else we get. So this time we got a cyan, which I do believe, is on the list. We got a lime green, which is also on the list. Brown we already had, that's not on the list. And unfortunately, that's all we got from that one. And so now I guess what we need to do is grab our shears, plant a few more trees, and try and get a bunch more leaves to make a bunch more bone meal. All right, so I did harvest a few of the dandelions nearby to get some yellow dye here, just because that allows us to get floral fertilizer without using any of our mystical petals. Purple is another block that we need. Blue is also another one that we need. And so now we just need red and magenta. We did have red, but I think we might have used them all. Let me check in here. Yeah, we did get red because we used it for the Endo Flame. And actually, I think I see a red flower right there now that I mention it. So we can go ahead and just take that one right away. And so now all we need is magenta, which I don't believe I have seen around us. And so hopefully we can get magenta from these last two floral fertilizer. Let's give it a go. That looks purple to me. It is. This one is pink, which is not magenta, unfortunately. And that is also another purple, not another magenta, which is not ideal. But that's fine. We can keep going. We can get some more floral fertilizer and try again. And there we go. Magenta is taken care of. So now it is just a case of crafting the petals of the colors that we actually need, and then probably getting some more bone meal, because we do need 9 magenta petals in order to get this magenta block. And so we are going to have to bone meal and grow a few of these, although not that many of them, because 2 of these here does get us 8, and then I guess 1 more is going to get us to 12, which is more than the 9 that we need. We do want to make sure that we have excess of all of those, because without excess, we're going to have to do all of this again to try and get more magenta petals. So whenever we have petals, we kind of want to make sure we always keep at least 1. But now we should just be able to go through and do the exact same thing with all of these different petal-colored blocks until we have 1 of each required to make all of these 5 runes. Alright, so not too long later, and a little bit of skeleton killing later, because it is definitely faster to get bone meal via killing skeletons and crafting the bones down than it is using the shears to get leaves to get bone meal in the composter. That method does work, but the shears don't last that long, and the trees are awkward to take down, and the skeletons are fairly easy to kill. So definitely faster with the skeletons, but we have, I believe, all of the petal blocks required to make all of these runes. Now, we do need to get more mana powder. Now, thankfully, we do have some cosmic dust lying around, and so it should just be as simple as doing 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good stuff. I was a little worried we wouldn't have enough mana for that, but we totally do. And so now it's just a case of getting the auxiliary items. So for the rune of water, that would be water and sand. Of course, sand we can get from dirt, so we'll take this and we'll place that down like so, transmute that, pick it up, and then we just need the actual water itself, which I believe we got with hydrogen and oxygen along with the Philosopher's Stone. Let's do 1 of those. And now we just need to put everything onto the runic altar, and we need to give it mana. So let's put the runic altar down. In fact, I'm going to put it down over here, and I'm going to make another mana spreader. We could do this, like we could move the pre-existing mana spreader that we have, but I feel like we might as well go ahead. Given that they're not that difficult to make, we just need some more living wood, which we can get from our Pure Daisy very quickly. And then from there, we just need a cosmic ingot, which I think we have. We do indeed. And any color of mystical petal, we'll go for one that we have a lot of. In this case, we'll go with purple. And that should be basically everything for another mana spreader. For whatever reason, that cosmic ingot there did not want to shift-click into the crafting grid. Either way, the mana spreader is done. We can put this one down next to the mana pool, like so. And if we grab our Wand of the Forest, this is going to pull mana out of this mana pool and send it over to the runic altar. Again, if you want, you can shift right-click like this to link the mana spreader to the runic altar. Just to show you an example, if you wanted the runic altar, let's say, over here, you can shift right-click, and that's going to point the mana spreader at the runic altar, and that will now send mana, again, from this mana pool round through into this runic altar, which is what we need, because now we have to put down 1 blue petal block, 1 cyan petal block, along with the water, 1 mana powder, and 1 sand, at which point mana is going to be sent over. It's going to be pulled from here, sent around to here, and in order to finalize this craft, I believe we do need living rock. You'll know it's done when you get that little icon on the right there that shows living rock plus the Wand of the Forest. And so all you do is drop down the living rock, right-click with the Wand of the Forest, and boom, we get the Rune of Water. Nice. So now we just need to do that 4 more times. The next one here is the orange with the red, and then we need a brick and a gunpowder. So the gunpowder we have, we'll put the other one away. Clay could be tricky for us here. I don't actually know if we have any clay left. If we don't have any clay left, which appears to be the case because I did make another set of shears, we're probably going to have to go and search while mining for some more clay. So I'll come back to that one in a second. In terms of the earth room, we need cobbled deep slate, which we may or may not have. I do know that we went quite far down when we were mining for clay previously, and we got down past Y level 0, which is where we can find that cobbled deep slate. Let's go see if we can't grab one piece real quick. I'll grab a few more just to play on the safe side. And then while I'm down here, I will also do a little bit more mining to try and find some clay. Nice. All right, so we did manage to get some clay there, which is very nice indeed. I'll throw one on here, and I did just put away my fire stick, so we'll do that to get our very own brick. And of course, we need to shift to pick that up. Thankfully, you get regeneration, so if you burn yourself on the fire, that's not too big of a deal. We'll put on the mana powder, and then it was orange, red, and gunpowder. That is fine. Gunpowder, boom, and then orange and red. You love to see it. We've got just enough living rock, which is very nice to see. And by the looks of it, we've got more than enough mana as well. Usually, these are a fair bit more expensive on the mana front than they are in this pack, but thankfully, they've been tweaked to make them just that little bit cheaper. And of course, we do have the Black Lotuses, even if we did manage to run out of mana to top us up if we needed it. But again, I don't think we're going to need it. Let's get rid of fire. Next up is earth. So we need one of the cobbled deep slate. We'll put the rest away. We need one regular cobblestone. Let's put both of you on with the mana powder, along with the lime and the green. While we wait for that, we might as well get the next one ready. Here we need oxygen and sugar. So I think someone said that we can craft either sugar or sugarcane with leaves. We totally can. You can craft 6 leaves into 1 sugar. Now, unfortunately, I have turned all of my leaves into bone meal, but I think that's fine because we can just grow out of the tree and then shear some more leaves fairly quickly. We do have 108 wheat now, which is very nice indeed. I am eating these apples, but I should probably be taking the wheat here. You can shift right click, by the way, to pull a stack out of there at a time. There is a better recipe for turning wheat into bread. If you craft 3 wheat with a bucket of water, you get the bucket back. It just uses the water. You get 3 dough that you can then smelt into 3 bread. So it's basically a 1-to-1 wheat to bread. But of course, we don't have access to a furnace just yet. And so we can't do that. But once we do have a furnace, that is definitely going to be the way to go. Boom. There is our earth rune. Let's quickly plant down another sapling. And if we grab our shears, we should be able to get 6 leaves fairly quickly. 50 is more than 6, and so if we just do a quick craft like that, that gets us 1 sugarcane, which we can turn to 1 sugar. I might go ahead and craft another one and then just start growing the sugarcane. Again, you can grow that in a botany pot, which would be ideal. Oxygen, we have, we'll put you there, and then I'm assuming we need light blue and white, boom and boom, along with, of course, the mana powder. And then the final one here does require that mana in a bottle, and so let's grab 3 dirt, 1, 2, 3, turn all of that into sand, harvest all of that, ideally with ultimine, but I did just ultimine a tunnel down into the floor, I think, which is not ideal, but that's fine. And then we'll take that sand and cook it on the old campfire with the old fire sticks. There we go. Over here, this is done. Boom. And boom, there we go. You've got to be careful not to right-click on the living rock. If you right-click on the living rock, it will just pick the living rock up. So you need to make sure that you right-click on the runic altar, not on the living rock. Either way, let's do 1, 2, 3. That gets us a glass bottle. We can then drop that into the mana pool to get the bottle of mana. And then we can put that on with the purple and the magenta, along with, you guessed it, the mana powder and the pink block. Do we have a pink block? Did I mess this up here? I might not have done all of these. I didn't. That is my bad. That is fine. Do we have bone meal left over? We totally do. Let's do 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Harvest all of those. Craft those down into more than 9 of these mystical pink petals. And boom. And there we go. We have every one of the runes required here. Let's claim all of our rewards, which in this case is a bunch of silver coins. And now we can take all of these and craft them into what I believe is the final quest in the Primal Age questline here, and that is the Scroll of Transmutation. It requires 1 of each of the runes as well as some paper. So let's take all of these. Now, if I'm not mistaken, whenever you craft on the runic altar with runes, you normally get the runes back. So we'll see if we actually get all 5 of those back. Not that it necessarily matters if we don't. We do have a second one of every rune if we needed it. And then for paper, the obvious answer here is yet more sugarcane, and thankfully we do have more than enough leaves to make that a reality. 1, 2, 3. I gotta get a 4th one just so we can start growing some sugarcane so we don't have to do this every time we need sugarcane. But there is the paper. And again, as soon as that is done, we are going to need a living rock. And right now we are completely out, but our Pure Daisy is here to save the day. Let's drop down some cobblestone around that. And as soon as that is done, we should be pretty much good to go. This one does appear to use a fair bit more mana than the last one, but again, that Black Lotus that we placed in previously seems to be doing the job just fine. Boom, there is the living rock, and what I believe is our final runic craft of the day. Boom, nice. So you do get all of the runes back, which is very nice indeed. You love to see it, and we also get the Scroll of Transmutation and 2 golden coins as a reward, and with that, we have now unlocked the next chapter of the quest book, the Industrial Age Act Beta. Taking that quest is going to unlock that for us, but that is something we're going to have to do next time, chat, because unfortunately we are out of time for this episode of UniversIO.